Every year I know we gonna go hard. We been that team ever since Bart started. All my cheese heads go pack go. Ain't showing no mercy, cutting no slack, no. I ain't a bad sport and I'll even wish you good luck. Only thing I will
Welcome to Lombardi's Legends podcast. It's Dane and it's Wags, but tonight we are joined by an incredibly special guest, Green Bay Packers cornerback AJ Johnson. AJ, what's up, man? Welcome to Lombardi's podcast. How you doing?
What's going on, man? I'm doing good. Excited to be on here, man. Excited.
Oh, man. We are so hyped to have you on, AJ. And our first time guests, we always have to ask the same question. So I'm going to ask it of you right off the bat. How does it feel to be a Green Bay Packer?
Man, it feels awesome. I mean, I hate to say this, but growing up, I was a Cowboys fan. So I don't know how much of a Green Bay fan I was rooting for, but I mean, to be a Green Bay Packer now is surreal. I mean, there's a guy that played here, Alshon Harris. He's from Pompano Beach. That's where I'm from. And he's done he made the world's most iconic play with Matt Hasselbeck. And it was just something awesome. And, just to be a part of this culture, the tradition, the history that's in Lambeau. I mean, it's an amazing feeling, honestly.
Yeah, thanks so much, AJ, for sharing that. And just before we go too much further, just to clear the elephant in the room, there are two Anthony Johnson Juniors on the team. You are one of them. Number 40, Anthony Johnson Jr., cornerback, coming out of Virginia. And so you were on the Saints for a while before you signed with the Packers in the middle of last season. But can you share a little bit about your journey to the NFL and your journey to the Packers and how you got to be where you are today?
Yeah, man. I mean, it was a hard journey. I mean, it still is hard. Growing up here in Pompano Beach, Florida, South Florida, I mean, it's a very abundant place to play football. I grew up playing for the Pompano Cowboys, played with some good guys, big names like Lamar Jackson. Was a big part of the reason why, I ended up going to the University of Louisville as well. I went to Chaminade Madonna High School down here. It's a powerhouse. I mean, we got some great recruits. We won the last 6 state champions, I believe. Just a football hub there. And I was a late recruit. I got recruited really late in my process. Maybe around my junior year, I got my first offer from the University of Louisville. And, I just always worked hard. I always knew I'd end up being here. Just didn't know how. Went to Louisville, was there for 3.5 years, got my undergrad in business marketing. Went under 2 coaching changes, started under Bobby Petrino. Kind of was getting my feet wet there. I played a lot, got some good snaps, and then he got fired. New staff come in, kind of had to prove myself all over. Went from starting to, just a role guy. And I kind of didn't really, like that. I wanted to fully be able to show my talent. So transferred to Virginia where, I worked hard, earned a starting role, and was able to put forth some really good seasons there. I mean, first team all conference, led the ACC and PBUs. I was just able to put forth everything that I knew I wanted to do when I was at Louisville, but I just ended up being at Virginia. So it kind of just cliche. I mean, that's kind of been my journey, even like I said, from high school. Started at Nova, transferred to Chaminade, I got my first offer, and then went to Louisville, then ended up at Virginia and, got my first team all accolades, Senior Bowl, Combine invite, and started with the Saints where I thought, this is my home, and then now I'm at the Packers. So hopefully being able to, see that repeat and everything that's going on. I know the kind of worker that I am, and my mom, she's my person. She's a really big support. My dad, my mom, my uncles, my grandparents, everyone took a whole village to get me here. But, just seeing my mom work hard, her being a firefighter, paramedic, you kind of don't see that every day. So that just kind of inspired me to keep going when things get hard, or when, I got released and went to Green Bay and then got released and then brought back. I mean, those were not fun times, but during those adverse times is when I was able to just tap in on my inner self, my faith, and just, continue to sharpen myself as a player.
That's tremendous. You make your path towards the NFL, right? You go to the Saints. How does Green Bay come about? Because You were kind of a later season add to the practice squad initially during your time in Green Bay. How does that look, behind the scenes? Were you doing workouts for different teams? Like
Yeah,
what's that
100%.
process look like for you?
Yeah, 100%. When I got released from the Saints, I mean, the Packers immediately picked me up. I was there for about a month. A player got hurt, and I ended up being released. Nothing my end is just a numbers game, just the business that we're in, the profession that we're in. So I immediately went back to my apartment in New Orleans, which I still was paying for, and I was just going to different teams. My agent was telling me like, "Hey, this week you're going to Tampa. Hey, this week you're going to Tennessee." So every week that I wasn't with the Packers, I was trying out for a different team, which was, also encouraging to let me know that like my name's still being mentioned. Like I know I belong here. It's just the right place and the right time. And the Packers also notified me when they released me, like, hey, we're going to try to get you back here as soon as possible, as quick as we can. And, they kept their word with that, which I respect a lot from, Coach LaFleur and the others that was there.
Well, AJ, that's fantastic. And one thing we've learned from doing this for a while is that very rarely are any guys' path in the NFL, even when you get into the NFL, drawn with a straight line. There's mostly
Right.
squiggly lines when it comes to path
Yeah.
to the NFL and staying in the NFL. So we're very excited to have you in Green Bay. Before we started recording, you shared some personal connections that I think you have to Green Bay, maybe either directly or indirectly. So would love if you can share a little bit more about some of those connections that you had to team before you joined.
Yeah, like obviously Jair Alexander went to Louisville. He was my host on my official visit at Louisville. So us meeting back up was, I mean, was an awesome moment, just a full circle moment there. He kind of got me acclimated to things, took me to practice. I walked over with him or we drove over together. Kind of just showed me the ropes on how the Packers organization is ran, and just took me under his wing and helped me get acclimated. I'm a really outgoing guy, so it just took me like a few days, and I was interacting with others, and just being a good teammate.
What does so that I love that. So what does that look like, that defensive back room and practice? And you join this roster, right? When after post camp, you're kind of like the new kid in the classroom, so to speak. So what do those practices look like? What's the the chemistry, the makeup of that locker room? Last year it was a youthful locker room on the offensive side, some more veterans feel like on the defensive side, but just what's your impression coming in as kind of the new guy to that practice squad and then going toe to toe with so many other talented players on this Packers roster?
No, I mean, coming from New Orleans, I think maybe that may have been the oldest team in the NFL. Then coming to the Green Bay Packers, where it's the youngest team in the NFL, and just seeing like the difference in the culture, the difference in how things are ran. And I think it was refreshing to be there, with guys around the same age group, rookies, second year guys, that's kind of trying to find their way as well, and to be able to go out and compete with some of these guys like Rome and Christian and Jay Reed Wicks, my former teammate. I know that I'm getting like some quality work and practice, and I'm going against the best every day. So my mindset was just, go out, compete to the best of my ability, do what's asked of me, give my team the, best opportunity so that we can be successful on Sunday. I know that, my role wasn't what I wanted it to be, but my role was, to help this team be better so that way we can be successful. And in doing that, I got myself better, and I know I'm going to put myself in a situation this offseason, to compete and, do some good things.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Could you expand on that? What is you said you shared a little bit about your mindset, but what's your mentality as far as the path to carving out a bigger role, bigger opportunity for yourself as you're going through off season, doing all your workouts, getting into OTAs are actually coming up pretty quickly, and then as you start to prepare for camp as we head into the fall.
Yeah, I mean, my mindset is just, work on some of the things that I, internally want to get better at, just focusing on those things. I'm out here training in Florida, working with a DB coach that I worked with a long time, helped me throughout high school, college, Antoine Thorpe with DB Recipe down here in Florida, working out at XPE, just trying to maximize my opportunity by, putting in the work, not sitting back, enjoying too much time off, but, being proactive, not waiting until OTAs start, just kind of getting ahead of it now, being my first off season. It's kind of a little weird because I got a lot of free time and just trying to manage it all because it's my first time, actually having this much time off, a little bit different than college. But just putting in the work. My mindset is kind of, you work hard and you'll reap the fruits of your labor. So put in the work and just know that, when camp comes, I'll be able to compete. And I think another pro is that, us having a new defensive coordinator, everybody will be learning the new playbook together at the same time. And, I think that's where I thrive at as a player, the mental part of the game. I'm really good with playbooks, really good with understanding schemes. So coming into Green Bay, like having to learn it quick wasn't an issue, but now being able to come into these OTAs and kind of get the same information together at the same time as everyone else, I think will really do me a good justice there. So
Can I ask then? So I've consumed, and Wags and I have consumed as much possible tape we can on you from your time at college, and just everything we can. And what I see, and I'm not sure if we lost AJ or not there. Let's wait a second here, Wags. Are you back, AJ?
yeah, yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't know that something had happened on my phone. I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries. So question for you then is, we've consumed everything that we can, watching you and your game and how you play. What jumps off the tape, I think, to us is you're a big corner. You're I don't know what you're listed at, but what, 6'1", 6'2", 6'3", you're long, you're physical.
6'2". Yeah.
You're 6'2", and you're physical cornerback. You look like somebody that's not afraid to hit. You look like somebody that doesn't mind pressing guys at the line of scrimmage. Where are you at in your comfort level? Are you more of a boundary corner? Do you play slot? What does that look like? What's your most comfortable position on the defensive side of the ball? And for those that are new to AJ Johnson, are there players that you've modeled yourself after, or, what style of play do you like to play?
So I love to play press coverage. I love to challenge receivers. Just mentally, the NFL is much different than college, but it's even worse now. Receivers don't want to be touched in the NFL at all. They get 5 yards. You get 5 yards to kind of, beat them up. And that's kind of the mentality I have, is to deter the route and mess up the timing. Everything is about timing and spacing. And if I can deter the release of a receiver and to help, get the pass rush home there, if the quarterback has to look off that first read, it kind of will, help the defense in total. So that's kind of my mindset, be as physical as I can, within the rules. I kind of model my game after guys like Richard Sherman. I would say like Jalen Ramsey, guys who are, really physical at the line of scrimmage that do a really good job at pressing receivers. But I don't really like to say, like, limit myself as far as boundary, field, slot. Like, wherever I'm needed at, I feel like I can go in and execute at a high level and be able to be successful to make plays. So if it's safety, if it's nickel, if it's outside boundary, I think I'll be able to, play and be successful.
Yeah, and that's wonderful. So AJ, you mentioned you've got a clean slate with the new defensive coordinator, coaching staff, and certainly your description of your style of play seems to fit with what Coach Affley's philosophies are. So we're not going to say anything about the previous coaching staff. They're wonderful people, but just kind of curious. And I know you're only speaking for yourself, but you guys talk a little bit, right? What's the mindset for both yourself and from some of the teammates that you've spoken to that play on the defensive side of the ball with this change and with Coach Affley? I don't know how much interaction you've been able to have with him at this point yet, but is that something that's exciting for most of you guys in terms of just being able to get up and be physical at the line of scrimmage?
Yeah, I think a lot of guys, are confident in their ability to play press coverage and man coverage and, to stick with receivers. So, a lot of guys were just excited to see that. And, we're just talking about, just embracing and coming in and accepting everything and just being coachable, learning a new scheme, because we've seen how much success we had and how good we can be as a defense, when we're, on one accord and just clicking as a defense. So I think guys are excited. I'm excited. The football world is so small. I played with Ike Yidam, who's now with the Niners, was also with the Packers, was with the Saints. well, he went to Boston College, and that was his coach. And he was just telling me a little bit about him, that he was a good defensive back coach and that he really likes him. So, just using all the networking that the NFL offers and that the people you get to meet just to kind of help me understand and put myself in the best situation coming up here in OTAs and in camp.
Yeah, and Dane, I'm sorry to butt in, but if I can follow up on that, how much does it mean as defensive players to just know that you've got a very aggressive physical scheme and that your coaching staff are going to be calling, plays that are going to give you guys an opportunity to win some of those battles one-on-one? I mean, it's football. Everyone's going to, lose plays once in a while. The guys on the offensive side are awful darn good too, but what does that do you think, just from a mindset as a defensive player, and just knowing that you can go out there, be physical, get after it a little bit, and that you're going to try to force the issue as a defensive player on that side of the ball?
Yeah, I just think it makes you, you gotta, be on your game, knowing that, everyone's counting on you to make your play. Everybody's got to do their 111th, and it comes with the accountability. If you're in man coverage and your guy catches the ball, it's kind of obvious on, who it's on, and just I think mentality wise, it just makes you play play with the fire. Knowing that like, hey, I got to be ready at all times. I got to be ready to make a play, and I just think it'll do a really good job of just helping us as a defense, just dictate the game versus, letting the offense dictate it. We go out and dictate, what they're going to be able to do and what they can't do. So that's always exciting as a defensive player.
And, we're talking a lot about defense, and rightfully so. But there's other phases to this game, right? And special teams is certainly another major phase. And I know that, from my research on you, you've had some experience on special teams in the past. And so, AJ, just kind of curious, your comfort level playing teams, because sometimes the fastest route to that 53 or a quick call up from the squad is because the guy just shows out on special teams, right? So what's your comfort level, and what's your mentality going in on teams as well, because I think that's just another piece of your game that fans are about to learn a lot more about.
Yeah, I mean, special teams is huge, and I'm very comfortable. When I got here, coach was just throwing me out there, telling me the scheme. I was just kind of learning on the fly. But as I got in, was able to settle in, I was able to learn, why we're doing certain things that we're doing, learning the ins and outs. And, I had a lot of success helping the guys that were going out to play on Sunday, get ready for the week and giving them good looks. So I'm really confident going into the OTAs and in this fall camp with special teams. And I think, like you just said, it'll be a really good starting point for me to, prove myself on this roster. So really excited, looking forward to that.
AJ, I've got to step away from the field for a minute. You mentioned your mom. It sounds like you're a family guy, spending a lot of time down there fishing as well, family and friends. So, just for fans out there, I think it's important. Who are you beyond the football field? The football player, Anthony Johnson Jr. Who are you, the man? Who are you as the guy? And what are some of the things that you're passionate about outside of football?
Yeah, I'm really big on family. Obviously, my faith, that's number one for me, but family is really huge. I'm I'm a mother's boy. I hate to say it, but I'm a mama's boy. My mom was a big part of my support system. I mean, she sacrificed so much, done so much for me to be here, me and my younger sister. I also have 3 siblings. My younger brother plays football at Vanderbilt. He's a corner. My younger sister goes to LSU. She's in nursing school. And then my youngest is about to graduate high school. So I'm the oldest of the bunch, just kind of like the role model, the example for them, and them seeing me go to college, get my undergrad, get my master's. I just hope I set a good platform for them to replicate and to see me be successful, and that inspire them as well. But yeah, I love family is really big for me. I grew up fishing. I love to fish. If I'm not playing football, I'm somewhere fishing. If I'm not training, I'm fishing. I mean, I fished last night to about like 11 o'clock at night. Me and my buddy, like, just love it. It's just something I grew up doing. I got a fishing channel on Instagram. It's called AP Fishing TV. Just something I started up just outside of my regular page. Just something that fans and people can, just see me just, you know, in my raw moments versus just on the football field. So it's just a good getaway, you know. Like they say, a bad day of fishing is better than a good day at the office. So it was a
What
bad day of
makes
fishing today too.
what makes I gotta ask then? What makes a good fisher? You know, what's the secret, or is there a secret sauce to being a talented fisher?
You know, just patience, and you know, it takes time. It's very fine. You gotta be very talented in aspects of like mentally. Like you gotta always be prepared. You gotta know what you're doing. You know, like I wanted to get into fishing out in Green Bay, where I know I'm a good fisher, but like ice fishing is something I've never done. So something I gotta learn. Just being able to adapt on the fly. You know, being versatile. I think that kind of makes a good fisher. Like I can't say I'm a great fisherman and like I can't ice fish. You know, so just being able to adapt and just do different things, you know, and just get out your comfort zone, I think is really big. But patience is number one. You know, you can go hours and not catch anything, and then like finally you get that one fish that just makes the whole trip. So, you know, patience I would definitely say makes a really good fisherman, and you know, just I think it kind of goes hand in hand. Like everything kind of correlates, like with being a football player, you know, being a defensive back. You know, sometimes you just want to jump routes and you know make plays, but sometimes you just got to be patient, let the game come to you. Just like with fishing, and like you got to focus on the small details with fishing. Make sure your knots tied right. Make sure your hook's not too big. Make sure you're throwing the right baits. You know, just like with football, you know, you got to be very detail oriented, learning the scheme, you know, watching film. So everything correlates. So it kind of, you know, helps me be a good fisherman and a good football player at the same time, using those traits, you know, to combat each other.
Well, if I know anything, I know that there's plenty of Packer fans that would jump at taking you out ice fishing. It's not the time of year for it right now, but
It's not the
we'll
time of
talk.
year. I, being
Yeah,
a South Florida
we'll,
guy, oh man, the cold is, man.
What's the
That's the
coldest
well,
you've What's the coldest you've played in? I gotta ask. Going to Virginia, I could get cold, right?
yeah, maybe like 30 degrees. 20, maybe
Okay.
30, maybe 29, but like -10. Oh man.
we
I
didn't
wouldn't
have
even
any of that. We didn't have any of that this winter. But I'll tell you
know.
what,
I'm
you
so
guys,
happy. I got
yeah.
lucky. People were like, bro, it's not even cold outside. I'm like, hey, this is freezing.
Well, you know, a good goal I think is for you guys if you can get a 1 seed next year and have that first round bye. That's going to be a great time to get you and some of your teammates out to try out some ice fishing in that week off. Stay in Green Bay for a couple of days. You got to stay acclimated to that cold temperature. Get
Right.
out, enjoy some ice fishing. So I think that'd be a good goal that you can put out in front of all your teammates this
You
year.
know it's
Say
you know it's
you will
crazy.
lead that ice fishing escapade if you guys can get that 1 seed
Let me tell you
and that
something
bye week.
crazy that like may sound crazy to you guys, but I was
Freeze.
so thankful we didn't have a home playoff game. That way we didn't practice outside. I was so happy to be in the DHC Center. Like, man, Dallas is in a dome. San Fran is like 60, 70 degrees. Because it was actually cold those 2 weeks. And I mean, I was like, man. So I didn't
Well,
get the full effect of Green Bay yet. Like being out there in the frozen tundra, like I didn't get that yet. So I'm looking forward
we're
to that.
Dane and I are not going to give you a hard time because we're Wisconsin bred. We went to high school together. We never advanced past high school football. We're not amazing athletes like you are, uh, but I remember some late October practices, and there was anywhere that we wanted to be butt out on that practice field in Wisconsin. So you're not going to get too much. You're not going to get too much. You know, we're not going to give you too much grief for that at all. So understand totally. But at the same time, as fans, we can put it out there as a goal, even if that's not quite
100%.
what
That's
you
definitely
guys want
the
to
goal.
do. Yeah.
Definitely the goal. I mean, that's a no-brainer. I mean, I think that's an advantage, you know, playing those teams that they got to come in and play in that. I mean, it's not fun. Like just watching on TV as a child and as a high schooler, like that looks awful.
It's cold to sit in at Lambeau, so I can't imagine playing.
Right, and it's packed.
Yeah.
70,000 plus people. It's insane. Like I was at the games late in the season looking at fans with their shirts off, and I'm just like, wow.
Yeah,
That
AJ,
motivates me.
last time the
Yeah,
Packers won the Super Bowl, we Wags and I and our buddy Timmy went up for the Super Bowl celebration. And I'll put it this way: we were in the parking lot, we cracked a Miller Lite, and it froze before we could take more than a couple sips. It was that
Wow.
cold outside. It just gets cold out there. But Lambeau was slammed even for that.
Wow.
So I was going to say your teammate, AJ Dillon, just resigned. Happy to have him back. And I don't know if you know, but he likes to wear his Carhartt overalls with no shirt, no undershirt on in those cold weather games out and seeing the fans after the game. So, that's another great way to acclimate too. If you want to join him out there, I'm sure he would love to have a fellow teammate soaking in those cold temperatures if you want to go out there in those post game.
100%. I get confused with him too because his name's AJ. So you get like AJ, I'm like, huh? And they're like, oh no, this AJ. Or like he'll call me and I'll be like, what do you want, bro? Like, he's a funny dude, good guy. I played against him in Boston College. I was at Louisville, so I kind of got some history with him. Like I say, the football world is so small, so like you kind of know a little bit of everybody.
That's so cool. Well, listen, I think we want to be mindful of your time, but I've got one last one for you.
Cool.
And just curious, we've talked about the team, we've talked about, the lead up to this moment. But this is an opportunity that less than 1% of football players have, right? And you're in Green Bay. As far as we're concerned, you're home. What are your personal expectations for yourself going into the 2024 season? What would you consider a success going into the season here in Green Bay?
I would just say, knowing that I went out and competed to the best of my ability and put forth, my best effort, regardless on how things fall, that would be a success for me. Because I know a lot of things are kind of out of your control at this level, but I'm going to do everything that I can to control my destiny and my journey. And when all the chips are stacked and it's done, I'll be able to look myself in the mirror and say, like, I put my best foot forward. I didn't take any shortcuts. I didn't cut any corners. And that'll be a success for me, knowing that, I did that and knowing that it starts here right now with the work that I'm putting in and in OTAs and fall camp. So I think that'll be a success for me. I would love to be a part of this organization. I want to be a part of this organization. And that's why, I'm working so hard to be a part of this organization. But just knowing that I did my best, it will be a win for me at the end of, any situation.
AJ, that's fantastic. And I think that's a great note to go out on for this evening. But before we go, we always like all of our guys that come on as guests to be able to give a hearty Packer cheers. So if you don't mind, can you give us a go Pack go before you sign off here for the evening?
Got you. All right. Ready? Dun-dun, dun-dun, dun. Go Pack, go.
Yeah, AJ Johnson. Man, it's so good to have you on, man. We really, really appreciate you. Good luck in camp. Good luck in the OTAs. We'll give you a holler at camp this August, but just congrats and keep at it, man. Thanks so much.
Hey, thanks so much. Really enjoyed you guys.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you. As always, be legendary and go Pack, go.
Pack, go.
Go Pack, go.
Every year I know we gonna go hard. We been that team ever since Bart Starr. All my cheese heads go Pack go. Ain't show with no mercy, cutting no slack, no. I ain't a bad sport and I'll even wish you good luck.